Hello and welcome to In Business Talks 2. We are thrilled to welcome you to our bonus episode, The Friday Fix. In our bonus episode, we will be discussing a business-related subject with either one of our wonderful In Business networking members or a fellow business owner who will be sharing their advice, thoughts or knowledge on a particular topic.
We're your hosts, Tracy and Ian Earle, founders of In Business, a networking and business support community. We host online and face-to-face events and we'd love to meet you, so why not come along? The link to book is in the show notes. Today's guest is Chris Wilson of WPA. So welcome to our Friday Fix today. We have with us Chris Wilson, who is a representative of WPA. Welcome, Chris.
Good afternoon, Tracy, and hello, Ian.
Welcome, Chris. Good to have you with us today.
Lovely to see you. You also coach men on the mindset of going through midlife, don't you?
I do.
You do.
Yes. Yeah. Keep away from the word crisis. I think crisis is a triggering word, so I like to think about mindset.
Mindset's a good word. Good word. Okay, just before we start, now I suppose we should ask you the question, would you like to tell us a little bit about what you actually do then?
Well, it's all about health. If you look at the center of everything I try and do, it's either protecting or enabling people on health. I've been through quite a few different nuances of jobs, and I settled on this one after taking about a 2-week sabbatical to think, what do I really want to do? And 2 words kept coming up for me, which was servitude and health. And the WPA opportunity came up, and I thought, that sounds good. I can protect people every day with things about health, and I can still educate and talk to people about why long, active health is something that we should all be striving for.
Sounds like a good fit then, really, doesn't it, how that worked out? Yeah, good. Perfect. Cool. Thank you. Okay.
So as we get older, our bodies tend to let us down, don't they, in various ways, not just our bodies, but our minds. So you're going to talk to us today, aren't you, about brain health?
Yes. Well, of course. Eventually, everything does kind of pack up. But my vision really is to try to be as long, healthy and active as possible. But it's not something that will magically appear like that. Just like your teeth. If you don't look after your teeth, the end impact is that you'll have fillings like I've got because I neglected my teeth when I was younger. And it's kind of irreversible. Although, unlike crowns or dentures or replacements, there is only one of me and there's only one of this. And therefore, my mantra really is to really focus on everyday habits, little tiny things each day that will try to make sure that my life is as long as possible, but also as active and as awake as possible. And the brain is that, it's the central processor, really. It drives all aspects of thought, choice, and also thinking. And by focusing on the brain, I think it's a really good discipline. But a lot of people focus on the muscles, heart, cardiovascular, or joints. But this lady up here, is really the thought processor for all things.
All right. So you think a lot of people then do neglect the sort of like the brain side of things and forget about the mind, focusing on other things for health rather than the actual brain.
Well, if you look at the preponderance of gyms everywhere, we're all pumping iron, we're all trying to do our abs and we're trying to have flat tummies to go on holiday. Find me a place where we go to work out our minds. And I think that we should be working out our minds just as much as we should be our muscles. But the brain tends to stop evolving, really. Once we're about 35, it's really built in a lot of the habits and thoughts and processes that drive us every day to be who we are. But the concept of neuroplasticity means that you can still change the wires and neurons and circuits that exist up here, but you have to be more intentional about it and almost trick or work the brain out to say, this is something that I can still control, I can still influence, and I can also still stimulate, but it needs certain things for it to be healthy and thrive to be at its best.
Right. And what sort of things should we do then to sort of look after our brains? What are your tips on keeping fit and healthy in the old brain section? Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I was listening to a guy called Jim Quick, and he is a specialist advocate on coaching people through lots of things about how you stimulate the brain. As simple as when you're reading, if you put your finger or a ruler underneath the lines that you read the page on, it will improve your reading speed by 25% because it doesn't allow your eye to be distracted. It follows the linear progression of your finger or the ruler through the page. And try it out yourself. If you read 2 pages tonight of a book and time yourself doing it with normal speed, and then do the same 2 pages and literally put your finger or a ruler underneath the lines, I guarantee you'll read quicker by applying that. And Jim Quick has sort of, I think, 11 or 10 tips. And I changed them a little bit and created a mnemonic, which I call Brain Health, which is 11 tips around brain health to enable you to remember these 11 tips about how you to look after your brain. And the first one is the most important one, which is brain food. Because just like the way your operating system of your body works, what goes in will influence things like fat cells, muscle, joint health, and the brain also needs the right food for it to be able to function.
Right. And what sort of things do you recommend for sort of brain food? Have you got a couple of things that you would think I would suggest try this or?
Yeah, quite a lot. And they will tend to be natural things that you'll find in the environment. So the immediate thing to not consume is processed food. So if it doesn't look like food anymore, then that's not great for not just the body, but also the whole system. But things like fatty fish, because they're rich in omega-3 oils and the brain loves that. Anything that's a natural berry, particularly blueberries. The brain loves blueberries. Dark leafy greens, so kale, spinach, broccoli, nuts and seeds and pulses, whole grains. Turmeric's really good because that actually also suppresses inflammation. And then a few other little odds and sods, things like pumpkin seeds, avocado, and you'll love this one, dark chocolate. Dark chocolate.
I like dark chocolate.
Really good. I'll save the best till last because everybody likes a bit of chocolate.
Yeah, I like
dark chocolate is very, very good for you. And similarly,
no, I don't.
Sorry, and if you like dark chocolate, have some cacao. So if you have really natural cacao, it's full of magnesium and zinc, and that's really good for the brain cells. So sprinkle some cacao in your cereals, not processed cereals, but things like your oats, or put it in your coffee. But it has to be really good, pure grade cacao to be work for. Not cocoa, not hot chocolate. That's still okay, but cacao is the real beauty of the food system that the brain loves. So that's the B.
Yeah, that's right. B sounds good.
B. Moving on to the next one. What would the next one be?
Begins with R. So brain health. What do you think? What?
I'm surprised you didn't get that one, Tracy. Really?
What do you think, Tracy? What do you think the R could stand for in brain health?
Well, I've got the notes here, Chris. So.
I sent them to you. It's reading. Yeah, it's reading. It's the workout for the mind. It's that aspect of just letting yourself rest and reading something. And I would advocate trying to have a discipline of reading something every day, 5 minutes, a few pages. By the time you do 10 pages a day, that probably turns into a chapter a week. And before you know it, you've probably read a book a month. And try to dive into something that's not your normal pattern of reading, because again, the brain likes familiarity. And when the brain gets tested, it has to work harder. And therefore, maybe don't go through your normal type of reading and try something different. So you could join a book reading club. And then you're not forced, but encouraged to try the book of the month. And you'll naturally try a book that other people like and maybe you wouldn't normally pick, but it allows the brain to go down new neural pathways of imagination or intrigue or horror or science fiction that you wouldn't normally be looking for. So reading.
We're not talking Mills and Boone here, are we?
Well, whatever takes your fancy, Tracy. If you want a little bit of 50 Shades of, then absolutely.
Have you read that one? You've read that one, haven't you?
This isn't that kind of podcast, I don't think.
No, it's not. It's turning into it, but it wasn't originally.
Well, that leads me on to the A, which is anti-negative thoughts. So this is every day, I'm sure, you're filled full of thoughts, and you'll probably have somewhere 40, 60,000 thoughts per day. And naturally, because we have a fight or flight mechanism, we tend to look for worrying things to protect ourselves. But if we fill ourselves full all the time of these thoughts that are negative, then it puts ourselves in a heightened stress situation, which is not good because it creates cortisol, which the body doesn't like. So really try to think positively. I know that sounds so difficult, but if you had to do 10 sales calls today and you say, I've I've got to do 10 sales calls. If you twist it and just change the got to get, I get to do 10 sales calls today. And what happens when you do 10 sales calls? I get to have my dark chocolate or a little treat. So you have to challenge the brain with the negative thought and replace it with a positive, and then reward the positive with something physical at the end of it. And that encourages the brain to go through the discomfort and look for the reward. And the reward then creates dopamine. Dopamine actually comes from the gut, doesn't come from the brain. Healthy gut creates a connection between gut and brain through the vagus nerve. And the dopamine floods the brain, and the brain goes, "Oh, that was nice. Like some of that. Give me some more of that."
Do you know, that's quite interesting, that, because I don't know whether I read it or I saw something. I can't quite remember where, but there's a little sort of hack or a trick for almost turning your sort of brain off and giving yourself a chance to refocus. And apparently you sort of, if I can remember this, you let your sort of face relax, and then you say to yourself in your head, "I wonder what my next thought is going to be." And if you try it, you're sort of like waiting for a thought to come. And when I did it, one doesn't sort of come. It's a really weird sensation. If you say, "I wonder what my next thought's going to be," in your head, you'll find there's like a blank on. Maybe that's just me. But is
that a way to clear your head?
Yeah,
though,
it's like a way to. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I'm just. Well,
there are many habits for clearing your head, but the most important thing to understand is that you can't have two thoughts at the same time. So you can't have an angry thought and a happy thought at the same time. You're either thinking happy or thinking angry. Physically, it's impossible for the brain to try to think two emotions that are in polarity at the same time.
Yeah. As humans, do you think we tend to catastrophize and, make mountains out of molehills out of mountains, mountains out of molehills? Do you think we do that naturally as the human race?
Without a doubt, it's part of our survival mechanism. We were built to look for things that were going to threaten our existence, and therefore the brain is looking still for threats. Could be crossing the road. It could be somebody that's going to, mug or steal something from us. It could be something that is done virally through the internet or through a verbal message, but it's still looking for cues that is threatening its well-being. So it's always on heightened alert to look for danger, but actually we try to suppress it by saying, "Do you know what? Actually, it's this moment right now. And as I speak to you right now, I'm in a safe house. We're looking to each other in a connected way. And there is nothing, physically nothing, that can hurt me." And yet, lots of people worry, catastrophize, "Woe is me. It's that plane that's hovering above. Is it going to fall out the sky and suddenly come through my skylight?" Chances are that it won't. But we're looking for reasons why we should be fearful.
Yeah. Thoughts are powerful, aren't they? Powerful things, yeah.
Yes. We've only 3 down so far. We've still got 8 to go.
Yeah, sorry, go on. So what's the next? What's the I? What's the I?
Well, what's a quote for you, Ian, that means something? Or something somebody said to you? There's a little nuance that somebody said, "No, Ian, just think about this."
Put me on the spot here. Let me have a think.
Well, shall I help you?
Yeah, go on, because I'm stuck. I can't. At the spur of the moment, I can't think of anything.
So the I is how we go for inspiration. So sometimes you need to be inspired, and therefore I've got a little journal that I carry around with me, and it's full of full of empowering quotes that I could read just to try to G me up a little bit. And my favorite one is from my mum, who unfortunately passed a long time ago. And hers is always, "Today is today, tomorrow is tomorrow. Never regret today what you could have done." No, today is today, tomorrow is tomorrow. Today is today, tomorrow is tomorrow. Never regret tomorrow what you could have done or achieved today.
Yeah.
And that's the ideology of it's today that matters, not tomorrow. It's not yesterday. Because yesterday's gone and tomorrow hasn't arrived yet, but today is the day that really, really matters. So it could be that. And there are others, people like Viktor Frankl, it's the gap between stimulus and response that matters. Just these really powerful quotes that I think you could just flood your mind with every now and then to inspire you to think in a more empowering and more enabling way about how you face into the day.
Yeah. Okay. What's the N?
So we've gone through BRAI and then we're on N for nighttime. And this is when we really give the power for the brain to sleep. And sleep is such an important metric to really encourage and look after yourself, because when you sleep, the brain rests, and all the memories and all the circuits and all the thoughts, visions from the day are locked into the brain like files in a computer. And when you allow the brain to rest in a good way at night, all the things that you want to try to remember are shut into the brain. And it also gives the brain time to recover, because it slips between conscious thought and subconscious thought. And then lots of different beta and other waves go into the brain for it to recover. So sleep is really, really important. A lot of people talk about 7-8 hours, which may be something right for you, but it's about the quality sleep you have, not sleep that's induced by alcohol. It's just really good physically deep sleep. And you can have lots of things like a Whoop band or your Fit tracker to look at the quality of your sleep. And it's the REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, that is when the brain is really, really living at its best.
Is there something you can do to improve your sort of sleep quality?
Lots of hacks, dark blackout blinds, cold room, making sure that you have a 3-2-1 metric before you go to sleep. So 3 hours before you go to sleep, you stop eating. 2 hours before you go to sleep, ideally stop drinking. And 1 hour before you go to sleep, you dismantle any screen time, particularly blue light screen, because that's stimulating the electrons in your mind to be active. So we have to try to encourage the brain to get ready for sleep, and also a sleep routine. The brain loves routine. So if you're telling the brain we're slowing things down, we're disconnecting from technology, we're no longer in food consumption, the brain's going, okay, I get this. This is when we're going to start to go to sleep. And also remember your circadian rhythm. We're still natural beings. So when the sun's in the sky and the sun's dark, we should also make sure that our daily routines reflect that. So if you're eating when it's dark or you're exercising when it's dark, then your brain's kind of going, well, hang on a minute, I'm a mammal. This is when I should be sleeping. So you have to respect the circadian rhythm to also empower sleep to be something that's deep and full of quality.
Right.
Making sense?
Yeah. So far, yeah.
Yeah. So people who don't sleep well, would you say they have a worse memory then? Is that?
Oh,
or is
I'm not a brain psychologist.
No. But you're saying to lock the memories in and the information from the day. If you sleep well, then that's when your brain's sort of downloading all the information, those thoughts and things.
That's the principle behind it. Yes.
It kind of equate to.
I mean, the thing is, for me, when you become a man of a certain age, it doesn't matter what time you stop drinking. At some point during the night, you feel you have to go, get up and
go
to the bathroom. And I think that affects my quality of sleep, because I think I can fall asleep fairly quickly sometimes. But then, of course, 2-3 o'clock, and it's like a clock. I can be up at the same time more or less every night, nipping to the bathroom, and then it sort of like disturbs me. Sometimes I find it difficult to get off. When I get back, I find it difficult to get back to sleep. I just wonder if there's...
Yeah, I think it's just important to acknowledge that. And if you know you're going to wake up, let's not get stressed about it. It's part of what happens to Ian's sleep pattern. And it's, okay, good. My body has woken me up so that I don't wet the bed. That's good. Let's get up. Let's go to sleep as quickly as possible. But while you're up, you try to make sure you don't expose yourself to light or screens. You just get up, do your business, get back into sleep again, and just acknowledge the fact that was good. I got up. I was able to get up. I did my business. Now, brain, it's time to get back into sleep again. I tried to disconnect from all those thoughts that will suddenly start flooding in. So you almost have to go to sleep and then go to the toilet, almost like a trance state, to say you're just physically going to the toilet, getting back again, and then you're going to go to sleep again.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's the night time. That's the night time. Oh, that's brain. You've done brain there, haven't we? Yeah.
And sometimes actually people also say you shouldn't sleep with your partner, because your partner will actually disturb your sleep pattern. I'm not advocating that, but hey, it seems to work quite well for. I think Prince Philip and the Queen seem to get on all right, and they lived to a very good tender age. But please, if you're listening, don't suddenly take this as a cue to not sleep in the same bed anymore.
Separate medicine, I reckon. Yeah.
You don't disturb me, love.
No. No.
I sleep for England.
Yeah, not half.
Yeah.
You go comatose. I don't know about sleep for England.
Pretty good sleeper.
Sorry, yeah, we digress there. That's brain covered, isn't it? What's the next?
That's the brain, yeah. So we're now into health of the brain health mnemonic. And the H is one that I really love, which is happy people. Surround yourself with people that are your radiators of your life, not your brain mood hoovers. The people that when the phone rings and you see the number coming up on your phone, you think, oh, it's great. It's a call from Tracy. That's nice. As opposed to, a call might come in from Terry, and you look at the phone and go, oh, Terry's going to ask me this. He's going to download all of this stuff. And I would just say surround yourself with happy people, because you do only have one chance to live on this planet. Mm-hmm. And therefore, stimulate your brain with happy thoughts, happy conversations, happy thoughts, and happy people. Yeah. Because the people that want to get you down, generally speaking, it doesn't serve your brain very well.
No. Surround yourself with happy people.
What are you looking at me for?
There was no reason I looked across at you, my love.
No.
Sorry, swiftly moving on. What's the next? What's after happy people?
Well, this is the time you're going to run out of the room, Ian, because the E is for exercise.
Oh, right, yeah.
I know I did talk about the fact that we exercise our muscles and our heart to try to have good physiology, but actually the brain also loves exercise. Why would you think that would be the case?
Just keep it stimulated.
Keep it active, I suppose.
From deteriorating.
Keep the old neurons, whatever they are in your head, connecting and joining and things.
Doing whatever.
Yeah. What else happens when you exercise? What's your body doing more of in terms of things like blood?
It's pumping your blood around. It's releasing all sorts of feel-good chemicals, isn't it, as well, I think?
Endorphins and things.
Yeah, that's the word, the endorphins. So you have that physical exercise and it does create little chemicals of endorphins. And just the fact that you've got increased blood flow, this is one of the most dense parts of blood vessel and cell density in your body. And therefore, when you exercise, it's going to flood more of oxygenated blood into the brain. And if you read a book called The Salt Path, I don't know if you've ever read it, but A Salt Path, it really depicts how this can really work, because there's a chap in that called Ray who was diagnosed with a very, very serious brain condition. And it seemed that the more they walked, the more his brain got better. Now, again, maybe it was just a fluke, but if you read all the 3 books together, you'll see how he faced directly into scientific diagnostic doom and actually is still alive and well today and has defied every single scientist with what he's managed to do.
Oh, right. Interesting. Exercise.
And there's also other things. There's improved mood, there's reduced stress and anxiety. And if you can also combine exercise with other people and you're exercising with others, then it is a double whammy, because you're exercising with other people that are in your tribe, and it just improves everybody's capacity for happiness and excitement and endorphins together.
Any particular type of exercise would you recommend, or all and every type of exercise, I suppose, is good, is it?
Well, consult with your doctor first. I don't want you to suddenly go out tomorrow and start doing a half marathon. There is types of exercise that you should do as you get older, and particularly as you get older, you must do muscle resistance and resistance exercise, because naturally you lose the ability to create muscle as you get older, and also your bone density tends to decrease. So by building in strength and conditioning exercise, then it also strengthens the bones and the muscles. So it's not just lifting, light weights, it's really putting pressure on your joints and your muscles to lift weights that are physically challenging. And that's where exercise also is a bit of a workout for the mind, because you have to keep the two, I think, in synchronicity.
Right. Okay.
And what does the A stand for then?
Well, the A is for atmosphere. So I'm looking for you to work in places or be in places where the atmosphere that you're working in is physically good for you. And that could be pollution. It could be toxicity around people. It could just be working in offices where there's natural light. But it's about looking at where you hang out in lots of ways and making sure that the atmosphere that your body and your brain is in is physically good for you. Yeah, quite a simple one. But
so maybe sort of co-working with creative people, if that's your thing.
Yeah, could be that. And naturally, if you're working with others and you get a little bit distracted and you see other people beavering away, then it could just enable you to do better things or do more things. Or if you're in an environment that's toxic at work, it creates those negative thoughts. So it is really about making challenging decisions sometimes and saying, well, tomorrow is tomorrow. And do I want tomorrow to be better or not? You have to make the decision and take responsibility for the atmosphere you want to create.
They all seem very closely linked, don't they, all these things? So the exercise, the atmosphere is connected with like the anti-negative thoughts and the inspirations in there as well. It's all it all is interlinked, isn't it? All these things on your list.
I think so, but it's about being ultimately responsible for the fact that it's what you do. And the L coming up next is look after your head.
Yeah.
In that if you're putting your head into harm's way by doing things like skiing or cycling or playing football or some other dangerous sport, just respect the fact that this is soft tissue in a hard skull. And if you smack it into something hard, the brain isn't going to like that. So yes, go and do winter sports. Yes, go and do skiing. Yes, go and do wakeboarding, but just protect your head, look after your head and try to not put it in harm's way in the first instance. But if you are going to do that, just respect the fact that you're given protection these days for a reason, which is that this thing is very hard, but inside it, it's a soft, mushy substance. And if it bangs into your skull, then it's not good. And the impact of brain trauma and brain injury can change people completely.
Yeah.
Because the brain goes into trauma and it literally makes people react differently to people and their environment.
Sounds sensible. And the T, what about the T?
Well, the T is for try new things. The brain is lazy at the end of the day. It doesn't like to work. And therefore you need to try to stimulate the brain to be uncomfortable. It could be as simple as tonight when you go and brush your teeth, you probably brush your teeth with your right hand. Try brushing it with your left hand. And the brain has to really think about that. And when you're crossing also the left and the right cortex of your brain to try to do two different things. So, you could be just as simple as standing on your head and patting your can't team us, but trying to do things or skipping rope and just doing things that the brain's going, oh, this is really difficult. Remember the first time you drove a car and you said, right, put the gear in neutral, press the clutch, press the accelerator, look right, look right. And your brain's just going, no, can't do this. And now you could quite physically go down the motorway at 70 miles an hour, have a conversation with Tracy, listen to Radio 2 and do all the things at once whilst also driving your car.
Yeah. And then not remember that you've driven that distance.
Before
now. Yeah.
Because subconsciously the brain is now going through a habit pattern that it's so familiar with.
Isn't it?
It's thinking for you.
Yeah.
But when you challenge the brain to try new things, go to new places, how many times have we gone to a new networking event or a new pitch or you've met a new person, you're feeling a bit uncomfortable, a bit anxious because the brain's going, this is uncomfortable. I don't like this. Please, can you remove me from this? Because I'd like to be lazy again.
We're safe.
Yeah. So try new things.
And lastly, the last H. What is that?
Well, this is my favorite one of all, and that's to try to be at one with nature and just try to let your brain be outside as much as possible. Because underneath all of us, we're still fundamentally tribal. We like to be outside, and the physical aspects of rain, sea, wind, sun, forest, trees, animals, it just calms us down and the brain loves it. I would just encourage you to find a lovely piece of open space when you can, disconnect from all your technology and just be in awe of the physical surroundings around you. Listen to the birds, look at the flowers, see the bees, see the wonder of an oak tree and just think, wow.
Yeah.
And your brain will love that.
Yeah. There's nothing like it, is there, being outside?
No, I love being outside anyway. I like being outside. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's good.
definitely does you good. And I think I'm better for being outside, aren't I?
You're much better for being outside and me inside.
No, if I get cooped up for a few days for whatever reason, I'm like, I'm just desperate to get out, aren't I?
Yeah. If you look at COVID, I know it's a long time ago now, but a huge amount of mental distress happened to people, not just because of the impact of COVID, but because we were suddenly challenged with new routines that were forced upon us. We were only allowed to go outside for an hour. We couldn't meet the people that inspire us. We had to change all of the ways that we work. And the brain was like, hang on a minute. When's this going to end? How long is this going to go on for? Am I going to be the next one? And that's a classic example of the brain was literally confronted with so much change and uncertainty that it freaked us out.
Yeah.
To remember the salutary lessons of all those things, that we are subjects of our environment, but you can change the environment that you operate in if you decide that you're going to take responsibility. And so many times we are in cause or effect, and we're victims of places sometimes we put ourselves in, and we say, woe is me. My challenge is you are me, and how you take yourself to be responsible for where you find yourself ultimately will determine how quickly you can find your happy place.
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds like some lots of good pointers there in that acronym. Lots of good tips there, I think, Chris. Yeah, it's good.
And acronyms are also a very clever way of remembering things, because your brain likes systems. So if you are trying to struggle with something, or you're trying to struggle to think about somebody you met, or how do you remember them? So I could say, I'm going to know Tracy. Tracy reminds me of a really good singer, Tracy Carpenter. Every time I see Tracy, I'm thinking of Tracy Carpenter singing, and it makes me remember her name. It's just simple things like that the brain loves to have structure around, to remember people, situations, or systems, or mnemonics are a great way of trying to remember things and details of lists.
Yeah. Well, we'll put those in the show notes. We'll
put everything in the show notes that you said as well.
And then people can take that away with them.
Yeah.
That's,
and if people do want to find out more about what you do, Chris, what's the best way of getting in touch with you then?
Well, LinkedIn's a good place. So if you just search Chris Wilson and probably Enabling Health, you'll find me on there. I also have a little podcast called Prime Your Midlife, and have a YouTube channel called Midlife Men. And there's lots of content on there that people can dive into and like or share or dislike. However,
it doesn't really matter, does it?
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter, does it?
Well, again, we'll get those links and put
we'll put them on in the show
notes,
so people, if they've not caught it on, they can get in there and maybe contact you and have a listen.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to also give you a little call to action, because I think it's important that whenever we go through learning, we actually apply something. So, Tracy or Ian, what's one thing you're going to do today as a result of the time that we've spent to try to foster better brain health for each of you?
Try a new thing. I don't know what I'm going to try, but I'm going to find something new to try.
Yeah, I think that's a good one for me as well. We tried the piano, didn't we? And I'm brilliant with the right hand, but I can't get the left hand to do anything. But it was a good experience, and I've got out of that. I might get back into that. I think you spurred me to try and get back into that.
Yeah.
Well, I can remember when you did your ballroom. How difficult was that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh God, difficult. That was difficult. Yeah, that was hard.
But when we look back on that, it just fills us with such.
It was really enjoyable.
Joy,
we really, from being terrified and thinking, what have we signed up for here, to actually
we
doing it.
We loved it on the night, and it was just
it was a real high. It wasn't a real buzz. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, it does. But
I mean, a lot of those things. Well, I'd say a lot of those things. Probably half of those things we do. We eat well. We read a lot.
We do exercise, don't we, to some degree?
We surround ourselves with happy people
of course
on
we
a
do.
Tuesday morning at our networking events. And we're in a pretty good atmosphere.
I think so, yeah.
So I'm going to try something new. You'll have to ask us, Chris, next time you see us.
Yeah, I might try,
And see what we've tried that's new.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you for all the things you do for our community as well. I really enjoy your Tuesday mornings and all the other things that we do on WhatsApp. So thank you very much.
We appreciate it as usual. One of our members as well. That's brilliant. Thank you for today. That's been some really useful stuff today, I think, hasn't it? I think it's been really good.
Yeah, some very good reminders.
Yeah.
Okay. So lovely to see you again, Chris, and take care. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
We are almost at the end of this week's show, and just as a reminder, before we go, don't forget to book your place at one of our online networking events, where you can meet some great business owners and build those business relationships. If you're in the Leeds, Harrogate, York or Wakefield area, then why not come along to one of our face-to-face events and meet us? It'd be great to see you there. Remember, the best business comes from the best relationships. The link is in the show notes.
Do you wish you could network with more confidence? We understand the challenges that you face, whether you're new to networking or simply looking to improve your skills. Our networking know-how courses will take you through the process and provide you with practical tips and techniques to help you make more meaningful connections.
We'd also like to mention our books, which are available on Amazon. How to Improve Your Business Networking Skills, 52 Tips to Help You with Your Networking. We've also got our Notably Networking, a one-to-one networking notebook, a place to keep all your notes from those follow-up one-to-ones. And last but not least, our 90 Days to Your Success Journal, where you can plan, set and plot the actions that you will take to achieve your goals.
A great one for the new year.
Excellent for the new year for 2024.
Thank you so much for joining us this week on In Business Talks 2 Friday Fix. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, all that we ask is that you simply tell a friend about the show. And please follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd really appreciate it. Until next time, this is Ian and Tracy, and together we are in business. Goodbye.
Goodbye.